Okay, let's start the video. I don't know if I have shared it properly or not. We'll be learning this along with our lessons, as this is a new field for me too. As I have told you that I'm going to start from the very basics of the lesson. Today we are going to talk about fractions, and we are just going to start with the word fraction, the definition of fraction. If you have any shape, if you have any item, and you just split it into parts, each part is called a fraction. For junior classes, we'll take the examples of shapes. They have learned the basic shapes. Like we have a circle, and this is a part of a circle. If we are going to talk about this particular pink part, we will say that this is a fraction. But the definition does not end over here. The normal mistake that young teachers made is that they just define that a part is a fraction, but they don't tell them, the students, that if the parts are not equal, we cannot identify the fractions. For example, this is a shape, it is divided into two equal parts, one part and second part. If you see, both the parts are equal. If you overlap the diagram, the green part and the yellow part, they are equally same, only the difference is color. That is just done to give you a clear concept. If the parts are not same, that part will be a fraction, but it cannot be identified. But if the parts are equal, then we can identify a fraction. Like we have divided this shape into two equal parts, so it is 1 over 2. This part is 1 over 2 and this part is also 1 over 2. As you can see that I have used two different symbols, two different ways of writing, because fraction is a difficult topic, and when we are writing it on the board and on the computer, there are two different ways to write it. One way is proper in equation form, like the one that is green in color, and the other way is just with the help of your keyboard when you are typing from mobile or any other device and you don't know how to solve or how to write fraction, in equation form, then you use this yellow part, this yellow typing style as your fraction. So let's finish this debate. Whenever and wherever you write any of the ways, if it is written 1 over 2 in the fraction form like green, or if it is written in 1/2, and it is the one that we have written in yellow in color, they both means the same. And wherever you see both the fractions, you must not be confused. Let's start with the topic. This is a circle and it is divided into two parts. You can see one orange part and one a little duller shade. Do you think this is an half? I don't have any comments or questions over here. This is not a live session as we are doing in the class, but I'm just going to take it for granted that for a student of grade 1 or few members who are not known to the concept clear, they will say, yes, this is divided into two parts and maybe it's a half. For kids, two parts, so 1 over half and 1 over half. But actually, this is a fraction, but it is not 1 over half. For 1 over half, we need to divide the shape in equal two parts. We have a concept called line of symmetry. Can you see this red line? If I fold the shape on this line, this part will overlap over here. I want you, all the students and all the teachers who are with me, to draw a certain circle shape with the help of your compass and draw and cut the shape, then fold it on one line of symmetry and see if it overlaps. If it is overlapping, then each folded part is called a half, like this one. If this line of symmetry is not proper, like this one, the diagram, when we are going to uh, convert it, it will not come on top of it. Let me see if I can show it to you with the help of my picture tools and rotation option. If I rotate it 180 degree or flip it, okay, let's see, and shift this to back. Can you see this? This shape is smaller than this shape. So we cannot say that this is a half. Okay, let's move on to the next shape. Like we were talking about this shape, if I just flip this shape again, can you see no yellow part is shown over here? If I send this back, so that means it is exactly overlapping this shape. So this is called the line of symmetry, as I've shown you over here. This part is called half and this part is called half. Please remember that when we are talking about halves, if there are two parts, it will be halves. All the students, please look at the spellings, Halves. And when we are going to talk about a single part, it will be called as half, Half, half. Okay, let's take some other examples. This is a triangle. If you cut it on a piece of paper and you fold it, like I told you with the help of my animation and rotation tool, that how we can fold a shape and see if this part is overlapping this part. If it is overlapping, then this diagram is divided into two halves, and this single portion that is on the left side of the red line is called 1/2. If you agree with this, that slide number 6 is a half, comment yes. If you disagree with it, comment no. For clarity of the answer, please write slide 6, half, slide 6, not half. Okay, let's move on to the next. I will cater these answers and I will tell you the answers at the end of this presentation because it is a short presentation. So it will not take more time to get to the end. Okay, there's another triangle and I have drawn a line of symmetry. I have just taken the mid part of this line and I just had this point as a half and drawn a line. You're going to draw this diagram. This is a triangle. This is a right angle triangle. You'll just draw it. You can use any other triangle if it is scalene or right angle triangle or obtuse triangle. You can take any other triangle other than this triangle. This is a specific form of triangle. It can be an isosceles triangle. It can be an equilateral triangle. We are not talking about triangles over here. So when we are going to talk about this thing later on, I'll explain you all about triangles. But at the moment, just consider the shape and draw a similar shape on your piece of paper, cut it out and fold it, and then give your answer as yes or no for slide 6 and 7. I'll be looking at the answers at the end of this slide, and then we will be commenting and answering your questions. Okay, so these are my two examples for half. This is a half as it completely overlaps this portion. This is also a half as it completely overlaps this portion. The two ways of writing half is one, this one with a slash, and the other that I have told you earlier, this one in proper equation form. If you know how to write equation, that is the best way. Wherever and whenever you are writing the fractions on board, on your copy, in computer, on your presentation, try to use this way because that is more clear. And when you are solving the fractions in later class, this is the just basic fraction class for grade 1 and 2, but we will be moving on for grade 3, 4, 5, and we will be talking about all the different aspects of uh, comparing fractions, of uh, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all the rest of the details, comparing it with percentage and decimals, because fraction is a topic that is starting in grade 1 and it is going on and on till your FSC and BSc. So that is very important. So starting from the beginning, as a teacher and as a student, you have to write it in proper equation form. Try to avoid this way until uh, it is very, very tedious task. Like if you're writing on a mobile and you cannot write in equation form, or if you have to convey it on the go and you don't have any software for writing fraction on your device, then you can use this way. Okay. Now, after 1 over 2, we'll move on to the next part, that is 1 over 4. If you fold it twice, like this is one line of symmetry and this is the second line of symmetry, this one part is called fourth. 1 over 4 is called fourth. Like 1 over 2 is called halves, 1 over 4 is called fourth part, fourth or fourths. You can see they are all equal parts. If you turn them on top of each other, they will give you a same shape, similar to the one that I've shown you earlier. Similarly, a triangle, it is a rectangle, sorry, and it is made up of 4 small rectangles. All the rectangles, yellow, green, blue, and orange, they are of the same size, same dimensions. So we'll be having equal fractions because there are 4 parts and we are talking about one part. So this orange part is known as 1 over 4. If we are talking about this whole diagram, this whole is 4 over 4. One whole is 4 over 4 or 2 over 2, as many parts as we have. The same number will be coming in numerator and denominator. Okay, as I've mentioned the term denominator and numerator, let's discuss that over here as well. Like this 1 that is written on top, this is called the numerator of the fraction. And this 4, this is called the denominator of the fraction. Like in case of 1 over 2, the number at the bottom, 2 is called the denominator and 1 is called the numerator. When we are talking about the second diagram, the fourths, 1 is the numerator and 4 is the denominator. You can see that the number of parts we are dividing a shape is the denominator. And the number of parts that we are talking about, like we are talking about the orange part right now, is your numerator. Is that part clear? Just comment numerator, denominator, explanation clear. Okay. Now over here, as I've talked about earlier, that these are having 2 parts. First, we are folding into halves, that is this line of symmetry, this one, and then we are folding it again over here. This is the second line of symmetry, and this part that is shown on top of your fold is called 1/4. Because we are talking about one part, there are 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 yellow, 1 orange, 1 blue, and 1 green. So the denominator is 4, and as we are talking about the yellow part at the moment, so the numerator is 1. If I'm talking about this whole diagram, then my whole shape will not be 1 over 4, but it will be written as 4 over 4. Please remember that the total part is 1. If we have one shape, like if I have what you can say, if I have a triangle and it is consisting of 8 parts, then it will be 8 over 8. If I have any other shape, rectangle, and it is divided into 12 parts, then it will be 12 over 12. I think I got my point clear over here, that the number of parts that we have will be written as numerator and denominator for the whole diagram, and the number of parts that we are talking about will be written for the fraction. Okay, let's move to few practical examples. When we are talking about 1 over 4, then what happens? Let me have a slideshow if that is okay. This portion is called 1 over 4. Like this is a whole pizza and we have divided it into 4 equal parts. So 1 out of 4 is 1 over 4 and these 3 parts are remaining. So it is 3 over 4. You can see that I have used both ways of writing. So it is clear to you, if I have to write this in this proper form, 3 will be written over here and 4 will be the denominators. 3 parts, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 is 3 over 4 and single part is 1 over 4. Let's take another example. This is a whole slice. When we divide it into 2 parts, each part is called half. Normally, you cut your slices either in rectangle form or in triangle form and put it in your lunchbox. If they are equal, they are the halves. It's another example. We are dividing the same piece into 4 equal parts and each part is called 1 over 4. Now let's come to 1 over 3. If we have a circle and we divide it into equal 3 parts, this is a tough task. So this is for grade 2 onwards. When we are talking about 1 over 2, 1 over 4, 1 over 8 or 1 over 16, something that can be folded easily. You just fold 1 over 2, then fold it again, then fold it again. That can be easily done in grade 1s and 2s. But when you are talking about the odd numbers as the split parts, like the triangle is or the pizza is divided into 3 equal parts or 5 equal parts or 7 equal parts, that is a tedious task. Tedious means it is a tough task. So uh, it cannot be done easily. But when you are explaining the concept, you have to fold the circle in 3 equal parts. What you can do is that you cut one line. Like this triangle, when you cut it, you will show one part out of it, then second and third. You can see that when I'm cutting it, my portions are also not uniform because I told you before that it is a tedious task. But once you have done plenty of practice with 1 over 2, 1 over 4, 1 over 8, and the ones which are easier to do, then you can move on to this concept. So the equality concept is already equal to your students and you let them know that please assume that all these 3 parts are equal. Then you can move on to the next. I hope I made all the points clear about 1 over 2, 1 over 4, 1 over 3 and the rest. Let's come back to the